World War II was one of the most devastating conflicts in human history. It began in 1939 when Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland. This act triggered a global conflict involving many nations. The war lasted until 1945, resulting in millions of deaths and widespread destruction. By 1945, the Allied forces had defeated Nazi Germany. Berlin fell in May, and Hitler committed suicide. Germany was left in ruins, and its leaders were captured or went into hiding. After the war, the Allied powers agreed on the need for a judicial process. They wanted to bring the principal architects of the war and the Holocaust to justice. Traditionally, leaders of defeated nations were executed or imprisoned without trial. Nuremberg was chosen for its symbolic significance and practical facilities. The trials were established by the London Charter on August 8, 1945. It defined crimes like war crimes, crimes against humanity and crimes against peace. The Nuremberg Trials began on November 20, 1945. The main trial involved 24 high-ranking Nazi officials. The Nuremberg trials saw many prominent Nazi leaders face justice. Hermann Göring, Adolf Hitler's second-in-command, was one of the most notable figures. Göring was a key architect of the Nazi police state and played a significant role in the persecution of Jews. Rudolf Hess, another key figure, was Hitler's deputy. Hess had flown to Scotland in 1941 in a failed attempt to negotiate peace, but was captured and imprisoned. His role in the Nazi regime and his actions during the war brought him to the defendants' bench at Nuremberg. Other significant figures included Joachim von Ribbentrop, the Nazi foreign minister, and Wilhelm Keitel, the head of the German armed forces. Both were instrumental in planning and executing Nazi policies and military strategies. Their actions contributed directly to the war and the atrocities committed. The trial also included industrialists like Alfred Krupp and Fritz Thyssen, who supported the Nazi regime. They supplied the war machinery and profited from forced labor. Their inclusion highlighted the economic dimensions of Nazi crimes and the complicity of private enterprises. The Nuremberg trials were groundbreaking in defining and prosecuting several categories of crimes. War crimes were the first category. These included violations of the laws and customs of war. The evidence presented detailed, horrific acts committed by Nazi forces. Crimes against humanity were another significant charge. This category covered atrocities committed against civilians. The Holocaust was a central focus here. The trial revealed the systematic plan to annihilate the Jewish population and other minority groups. Genocide referred to the deliberate and systematic destruction of an ethnic, racial or religious group. Raphael Lemkin coined the term. The evidence included chilling testimonies and documents detailing the Nazis' genocidal policies. Crimes against peace were also prosecuted. These involved planning, initiating and waging wars of aggression. The Nazi leadership's deliberate plans to invade other countries and disrupt global peace were thoroughly examined. The prosecution argued that these acts were the root cause of the war and its associated horrors. Section 5. Main events and procedures of the trials. The Nuremberg trials were meticulously planned and executed. Proceedings were in English, German, French and Russian. The trials began with the indictment on November 20, 1945. Defendants pleaded guilty or not guilty. The prosecution presented documents, testimonies and film footage. Films of concentration camps had a powerful impact. The defense cross-examined witnesses and presented evidence. Judges scrutinized claims, seeking justice for victims. Section 6. Key verdicts and sentences. The judgments at Nuremberg were delivered on October 1, 1946. Of the 22 defendants, 12 were sentenced to death. Hermann Göring was among those condemned, but he committed suicide before his execution. Others executed included Joachim von Ribbentrop and Wilhelm Keitel. 3 defendants were acquitted: Hans Fritzsche, Franz von Papen and Hjalmar Schacht. Their acquittals sparked controversy, with some arguing they had played significant roles in the Nazi regime. However, the judges found insufficient evidence to convict them of the charges. Several defendants received prison sentences ranging from 10 years to life. Rudolf Hess was sentenced to life imprisonment. Albert Speer, Hitler's architect and armaments minister, received a 20-year sentence. These verdicts underscored the varying degrees of responsibility among the Nazi leadership. The sentences were carried out in October 1946, bringing a sense of closure to the trials. The executions and imprisonments marked a significant moment in history. They demonstrated that even the most powerful figures could be held accountable for their actions. Section 7. Lasting impact on international law and justice. The Nuremberg trials had a profound impact on international law and justice. They established the principle that individuals, including state leaders, could be held accountable for crimes against humanity. This was a significant departure from previous norms, where only states, not individuals, were held responsible. One of the most important legacies of the trials was the development of the Genocide Convention. Adopted by the United Nations in 1948, this convention defined and criminalized genocide. It drew directly from the evidence and legal precedents set at Nuremberg. The trials also led to the establishment of the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The ICC, established in 2002, prosecutes individuals for crimes like genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. The Nuremberg trials provided the legal and moral foundation for this important institution. Additionally, the trials influenced national legal systems worldwide. Many countries incorporated elements of the Nuremberg principles into their laws. This helped to ensure that perpetrators of similar crimes could be prosecuted in their own countries, promoting global justice. Section 8. Modern-day significance of the trials. The Nuremberg trials remain significant in modern-day justice and human rights. They serve as a reminder of the importance of accountability and the rule of law. In a world where atrocities continue to occur, the principles established at Nuremberg are more relevant than ever. The trials also highlighted the importance of documenting and preserving evidence of crimes. This has influenced how modern-day tribunals and courts operate. The meticulous documentation at Nuremberg set a standard for future prosecutions of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Furthermore, the trials emphasized the role of international cooperation in achieving justice. The collaboration of the Allied powers was crucial in bringing the Nazi leaders to trial. This spirit of cooperation is vital in addressing contemporary challenges like terrorism and human trafficking. The Nuremberg trials also serve as an educational tool. They teach future generations about the horrors of the Holocaust and the importance of justice. Many educational programs and museums around the world highlight the lessons learned from these historic trials. Section 9. Lessons learned from the Nuremberg trials. The Nuremberg trials taught the world several important lessons. First, they underscored the necessity of holding leaders accountable. No one, regardless of their position, is above the law. This principle has guided international justice efforts ever since. Second, the trials highlighted the importance of a fair judicial process. The defendants were given a chance to defend themselves, and the evidence was scrutinized meticulously. This fairness was crucial in legitimizing the outcomes and setting a precedent for future trials. Third, the trials demonstrated the power of international cooperation. The Allied powers set aside their differences to ensure justice was served. This cooperation is a model for addressing global challenges today, showing that unity can achieve great things. Finally, the Nuremberg trials showed the importance of documenting atrocities. The evidence presented was crucial in securing convictions and educating future generations. This lesson has been applied in subsequent conflicts, ensuring that perpetrators of crimes are held accountable. Section 10. Conclusion. The Nuremberg trials were a landmark moment in history. They brought Nazi war criminals to justice and established important legal precedents. The trials highlighted the horrors of the Holocaust and the necessity of accountability. They also laid the foundation for modern international law and human rights. The impact of the Nuremberg trials is still felt today. They serve as a reminder of the importance of justice and the rule of law. The principles established continue to guide international efforts to address crimes against humanity and ensure accountability. The trials also teach us valuable lessons about the power of documentation, international cooperation, and fair judicial processes. These lessons are crucial in addressing contemporary global challenges and promoting justice worldwide. In conclusion, the Nuremberg Trials were not just a response to the atrocities of World War II, they were a significant step towards a more just and accountable world. Their legacy continues to inspire and guide efforts to uphold human rights and the rule of law.